Hi and welcome to the War Bunker. This is part 2 of the campaign Starship Down. This rather poor, wretched vehicle is the SS Ironhelm. It's basically was a transporter that got knocked out of the sky and landed on this barren planet. Unfortunately, it may be barren, but they're not alone. And in the last game you would have seen that there's basically an orc presence here, and they're not happy to see them. So the survivors from the crash have built up a fortification, which in the last game the orcs attempted to overrun. And the survivors from that game are basically pulled back. If you saw, this is a lot of experiments at trying to do a narrative campaign based on the changes with Age of Sigmar. I'm basically running some solo games because Cameron's a bit busy at the minute, and just trying to play around with how far we can push Warhammer 40,000 in a similar to Age of Sigmar. Instead of thinking about points, thinking about telling a story and trying to work things out. So let's tell you more about this story. Well, as you can see, after the first game, the orcs are starting to muster a lot more machinery over here. And an important thing is there's kind of a no man's land that's built up. Now, this is because the Ironsmiths' preferred weapons are things like multi-melters, particularly, and flamers. And yeah, one of the problems is they don't have a great range. In fact, I don't really think, like this, as we talked about in the last game, there's a land raider in the middle here, but it's immobilized. And basically the orcs in the last game just completely avoided it. It didn't really get to do much apart from fire its multi-melter. But in this game, they've all pulled well back. And one of the problems is this thing. This is a kind of squat version of an Imperial Knight, and this is a particularly infamous one. This belongs to someone called Dr. Magnus, who in the Ironsmith history actually led quite a nasty rebellion. It's called the Golem Uprising. The Ironsmiths use a robotic workforce of servitors, which they call golems, which are basically lobotomized humans. And this guy tried to reprogram them to basically take over society. And although he was defeated and a lot of changes were made to golems, he's a pretty reviled figure. People really hate his guts, to be honest, quite understandably. Out within all this, there is a big mech hurriedly organising this large group of fast attack with rockets. We've got here. We've got, I think what they're called, Meganops. That's it. We've got some tank busters, and we also have this battle wagon there. Meanwhile, on the Ironsmith side, they've basically managed to contact the rest of their forces, and rescue is on its way. And in fact, there is an airplane on its way to try and help them out of their situation. But the rescue will be land-based. And at the minute, looking at the forces that they've got, they're going to be cut to pieces, and which isn't particularly good. So they need to try and take the initiative and really kind of knock them down a peg. What they've managed to salvage from the spacecraft is this. It's a mining laser. Dwarves are really good miners, as you can imagine. And generally what we do with the Ironsmiths is a lot of the space-based rule, we invert it and say, for instance, instead of an orbital bombardment, they do an explode, they plant a mine underneath and explode it. So they have basically tunneled under these, and they're about to explode 3 mines underneath, and basically try and use this to basically cross no man's land and pop up on this side of the table. Each crater that form can basically hold about 10 10 figures or 1 dreadnought to come out. What they really want to do is trying to damage this party as much as possible. Anything that they manage to knock out might be out. They really want to get rid of that thing because it is a nightmare and a preferred enemy. But they also want to take out the big mech, because if they can take out the big mech, it means that the damage that they do will be permanent. They won't be able to the orcs won't be able to repair anything they do, and so it'll make the next game where they try and be rescued a lot easier for them. The next game will also include a few troops, more troops from the orc perspective, but this is basically an opportunity for them to try and get in, for the Ironsmiths to try and get in there, cause as much damage, and then pull out. And as they pull out, they can basically collapse the mine behind them so that the orcs can't chase them back. So it's going to be difficult. I can't put that many men, or dwarves rather, on this side of the board. I will get the concussive power of basically the mine strikes, which will help me. But from then it'll be a little bit tricky. This is going to be set up over here as a gun emplacement, and that will basically provide me with an extra las cannon hit, which should hopefully help. But here we go. Let's see. Okay, I've placed 3 markers here to try and determine where I want my pit heads to be. So I'll roll some dice, try and keep it close. This should really always scatter, shouldn't it? That's 8 inches, and that way. That's just going to move to there. Number 2 should be a direct hit. Well, it can't be. It's going to have to move. Have to roll again. Have 2 pits right next to each other. I'll move back but the other direction by 8. That's going to be just on top of him. And then finally, we're going to be very close. That's going to move over by 9 in that direction. So, ooh. This might be a mission goal to start with, because that is right next to him. So, I mean, he has got a force field for an invulnerable 5 or 6 save. But, could be game over, man, game over. What I'm going to try and do is do the dice rolls here. So, let's see. That goes on there. That looks like it's caught 3. Three of the guys there, so let's roll. Ooh, 1 of them will survive, but 2 will be dead. This is a good start for me. And I'm going to place my first crater there. Two more. Where did number 2 go? Oh, wow, that's number 2. Number 1. Okay, where's... Who's that going to take? That looks like it's just 1 of those, and 2 of those. 2 of the mega knobs. Those mega knobs are not having the best of luck. But there is 1 very, very lucky mega knob who still is alive. And meanwhile, for that, 4 with plus 10. Well, that's a penetrating. So that's 1 wound with a 3, 4. So that's like going to be weapon destroy. No, just shaking so it can't do anything. Oh, these have all got rocket launchers, should perhaps point out. And then our second blast template. Actually, I'm going to swap these blast templates around, because that might just about fit there. And then we've got Second marker there, and then we've got that last one. So let's put you over there. You have got that guy and another one of those vehicles. So let's do the what is it? He's not a mega knob. I want to call him a mega knob. I'm obsessed with mega knobs, it would seem. He's the big mech. He potentially dies on a 5 or a 6. He's okay, but no. So that's one mission goal done. This guy is toast, which was bloody lucky. Excuse the swearing. And then on the vehicle, automatic penetration 5. Is that an open topped? Yes, it is. +1. That's destroyed. One of them's destroyed. Right, so there we go. 1, 2, 3 holes in the ground. I'm going to deploy my troops and take the first turn for the Ironsmiths. Like I said, there's a limit on the capacity of units I can actually pop out. These are basically massive holes in the ground from the mines, and guys are going to start popping up. So I need to deploy them, ready to start the game. So at the end of that, I've just deployed my units, and I'll just talk you through them. Back over here, I've got a load of troops. I've got the 3 heavy bolter devastators that are basically they should still be in range, just about. In this crater I've got my flame devastators, who are obviously going to be flaming in that direction, I think, because I'll decide when I actually play the round. I've not played it yet. I've got my multi-melter devastators, who are obviously really trying to bring this guy down. They are in range. I've got my dreadnoughts there. And over there I've got some Terminators, which I'm hoping to charge at this thing and just really take it down. That's my first thing. Basically it's got a melter cannon, so if I don't take it down in the first round, it's going to start taking me down badly. So here we go. Let's fire with everything we've got. Who survives? Right, end of round 1. Let's do the damage so far. Now, first of all, quite luckily for me, I took the big thing out. That pretty much soaked up all the firepower I had. Now, I decided, coming out of a crater, you couldn't really assault him. Kind of makes sense. You can fire maybe, but not really pop up. And it's like, take it like coming out of a vehicle. So I've kind of held the Terminators over there and hold, but that giant killer can attempted to attack them, and it's basically killed 2 of the Terminators before everyone else managed to pile back at it. The battle wagon is still there, and I'm contemplating whether to try and charge it with my Terminators and take it out, but considering that there is a Death Dread there behind that killer can, and there's another killer can trying to maneuver, I'm not too sure. Here the Dreadnought has taken some damage. It basically helped give the killing blow to that. However, in the meantime, the surviving war trucks have basically swung around and shot it in the background, and it's now back and it's now immobilized. So I am not going to be able to retrieve that at all, because if I can't retrieve it, I can't repair it. And I don't see myself being able to wipe things down. In the third crater, things have gone equally bad, really. All my multi-melter units have been wiped out by the Mega Knobs, the 2 surviving Mega Knobs, who've decided to go for the weaker target over the Dreadnought. And likewise, this Death Dread has just surfaced around over the hill, and basically, although these flamers pretty much managed to devastate the heavy weapons guys, they have taken a hammering themselves. To be honest, there's only 2 of my devastators, these 2, left alive in that crater, and to be honest, they're not likely to survive another round. And at this moment, I'm desperate. I can't run away from that crater whilst there's enemies nearby, because I'll just pursue. It doesn't work like that. Or at least that's the narrative rules I've used. Otherwise, it's just too easy to escape. These could choose to go this turn, because they're out in the clear. But that would still leave that battle wagon around to cause a lot of mischief in the next game. I don't know if the next game would be terribly useful with Terminators. I don't think they're going to swing the game much. I'm going to have to make a big decision here. The captain, as you can see there, if the focus will work, is leading them. And I kind of think the chapter master is important to save. However, from a narrative purpose, the area is really hot. They've got enemies on all sides. It would make sense to retreat. It would make most sense for the captain to retreat on his own, whilst the remaining Terminators try to finish the job and finish that off. However, there's something fundamentally unheroic about that, and I think a chapter master wouldn't. I don't think they would. Although, to be honest, his men might detach and kind of make a sacrifice so he'd survive. And actually, to be honest, he is actually a she. But dwarves, they've got. If you've ever read Terry Pratchett, you know that dwarves have and indeed Tolkien as well. My Ironsmiths, they treat men and women very much alike. Men and women both have beards. They only have a single gender pronoun, which is male. Which they only have a single gender pronoun, which humans think means male, when in actual fact they use a kind of version of he that means both he and a she. So they always have kings. They never have queens. They have kings, even if the king is female, because that's how their language works, and they don't see the difference between male and female. And in fact, they've mastered their genetic engineering to the point where there is no major difference between male and female. They can do pretty much whatever they want. Anyway, from that interesting piece of history on the Ironsmiths, doesn't help me make that decision to attack or to retreat. And everything in me says attack. But if I lose my commander, that will be bad. Attack. It's got to be attack. Let's see how round 2 pans out. Let's see if my flyer comes in. On a 6, yep, I get my flyer in. That might make a huge difference. Well, over here you can see it didn't really end up very well for my flyer. A lot of attention was turned onto it and basically sliced it to pieces. It took a good shot at the battle wagon over there. That's down to 3 hull points. And remember, because the big mech's out, this will be transferred to the next game. I'm now going to call this game in just a second. Over in that crater, they got overrun. They failed their charge distance that would have allowed them to probably annihilate the battle wagon. And they basically got hit by a dreadnought, Death Dread that was partially wounded, and a killer can. And between them, they wiped everything apart from the commander, who has an invulnerable save, so was really lucky, but the rest of his trip not so. Obviously, in some ways they've been fristed away, but they have managed to knock those 2 down, so they can't play in the next game. The Dreadnought has been destroyed by the Meganobs. There's only 1 Meganob remaining now, so that's a complete casualty. And again, in this crater, everyone has been pretty much wiped out by the death dread. It was taken down by one wound thanks to a grenade, but it's not good. So really pretty bad actually. I've both achieved some things, but also mucked up a lot. I mean, if I look at my casualty list now, my captain is going to collapse this tunnel. So he'll manage to return back. Because on his own, there's a difference between bravery and stupidity. At this point, he realises he can't. There's nothing else he can do. They have done really well. They have really taken a lot of the teeth out of. I mean, if that Imperial Knight had still been around for the next game, it could have absolutely, well, yeah, it would have been a major hazard for what's to come. But you know, I feel really quite a little overcome about this. I mean, I have lost 4 Terminators. My Dreadnought won't be coming back, and there were basically 9 Devastators who I can't use in the next game, and they're gone. And that gives me a casualty list. I mean, I had about 40 troops, 40 troops going into the campaign, and it's whittled down, and I've basically lost about half. It feels like almost half my troops in a single game, and I can't get them back because that feels harsh. So, you know, next game they don't respawn, they don't come back. We can't retrieve them because they're over on the battlefield, on the enemy side of the battlefield, so we can't pull them back for medics. Ouch. You're used to going from one game to the next, and you can have a lousy game, but you still have 1,500 points to play in the next game. And now I've got considerably less points to defend with when the rescue party comes here. And of course, if I get casualties like this, the rescue will be pointless, and you know, these guys won't have survived. And I kind of want them to survive, but I'm not gonna fake the scenario just to make that happen. If they get wiped out, then that's the way the dice rolls, and that's how this story ends. Kind of hope they don't, but then part of me likes the uncertainty. It's always quite a fun campaign, actually. And I think, as you can see, this is something to negotiate. You know, if you wanted to have a go at this, you kind of try and trade things backwards and forwards. You know, the rules about the craters, for instance, you know, they bang, bang, bang. They cause a lot of things. I get the first go, but then, you know, the craters only allow me to put up to 30 troops over there, and they put it in the middle, so they are likely to get minced. Yeah. I use roughly drop pod rolls. A drop pod can hold a dreadnought if you choose to. It can also choose it can't take Terminators, but yeah, Terminators, you know, typically take up 2 spaces for 2 troop slots. If you're in Land Raider, so I've tried to apply similar kind of logic rules here. Yeah, I can really, in a way, it is really deep strike troops in. But yeah, you say, look, okay, I'm going to come in the middle of your thing. You can have a lot more things. I'll have this. I'll have these rules, and then you can have these rules, and we'll see how they go. And this will be unusual because, although as I said, I'm going to add a lot more green troops like orcs to make things interesting. These are most of the ones that can affect vehicles, and they have actually been quite knocked out. So should make things easier for them, but at a huge cost. And I know I keep going on about this huge cost, but it is that thing of I've lost a lot of my Devastators. I have no multi-melter or flame devastators left now. I have no dreadnoughts left. The rescue plane that could have helped me in the next game is down and out, you know, but I took out their big mech, so they're not going to be repairing. That thing is going to go into the next mission down to 3 hull points. This thing is down to 2 hull points, so victory, but at a cost. But will it be enough? Find out in the final part of Starship Down.